Once upon a time, in a certain city, there were many people living, rich, poor, skilled workers, honest merchants, but there were also many people, without roots like in any city. Although there are real differences, the residents of the city, those who worry about their business from start to finish, not the unemployed, all agree that there are many things going on around the city. Suspicious happenings. The story of a businessman going to a suburban village and never returning is no longer a rare thing. One time someone returned, his eyes wide with fear, his face pale, his limbs shaking, and he was supposed to go sightseeing or attend ceremonies at the 33 temples of the female cultivator, Canaan, as expected. He stayed in the house so much that the neighbors could not ask anything except him shaking his head in refusal. Something terrible must have happened to this man, so no one could make him open his mouth. In the evening, when the neighbors gathered in the tea rooms to smoke pipes, the speculations continued. Explode like popcorn. People say there seems to be a bandit raging in the suburbs, because that and number 39's what people hear, but then no one has lost anything. Always just terrible strange things. And those who witnessed the strange thing with their own eyes could not testify to it, because they never returned. At that time, there was a young mat weaver living in the city. He is highly skilled, and is also very intelligent and bright. He went everywhere to repair floor mats. But he likes to weave new mats according to size. When someone gets rich and wants to show off a new house, they invite this young, highly skilled worker. No one has skillful fingers like you, and no one brings joy to other people and number 39's families like you. He knows all the new songs, knows many interesting stories. And I have to listen to him play to enjoy it. He has a talent for imitating theater artists who are loved by many audiences. Soon, the weaver was enthusiastic and excited, inviting him to work all day. Not only was he famous in his own neighborhood or in the city, but in remote villages, people often invited him to work. So he became a rare courageous person, because he dared to go out of the city and number 39's fortified walls. He often had to walk through the fields, singing cheerful songs. Yet nothing ever happened to him. Maybe it and number 39's because he always sings loudly and well. Maybe he and number 39's never been afraid. Sometimes he thinks to himself, and quote, maybe the people in the neighborhood have imagined enough things to have stories to tell around the wine tray. Or maybe they Don and number 39's want to go far to remote villages. As for me, because I often go out of the city, I have never met a ghost. And quote, one day, someone in a faraway village invited him to come. People told him, this work will probably take 2 days to complete. But it was just past noon when he finished, so he returned home. The sky was cloudless, the sunlight was shining brightly. The weather was scorching hot, causing the birds to stop singing. Only the young worker continued to happily move forward, happy to have benefited for half a day. He thought to himself, and quote, at least I have to go to the theater, it and number 39's been a long time since I and number 39's been there. And who knows, and quote, there and number 39's still time left to argue with the neighbors around the wine tray. And quote, he was thinking so hard that he didn't and #39's noticed the dark clouds filling the sky. Then suddenly the sky became dark. It was so dark that he could no longer see his hand in front of his face. He thought to himself, and quot, it and number 39 's hot like this, so it and number 39 's not surprising that it and number 39 's raining. It and number 39 's just a thunderstorm. As long as we get back to the city before it rains, that and number 39 's fine. And quot, he groped his way through the dark sky. But, why is this? What should have been before him was a familiar road, but now it was suddenly a forest. The sky became even darker, everything was completely silent and the surrounding landscape looked strangely heavy. And quot, am I lost? How strange, and quot. The mat weaver was confused. He followed this path for a while, then followed another path, but could not find his way out. Suddenly, he saw a light in the distance. He had to go to the place where the light was and ask to know where he was, he told himself, and walked faster. A moment later, he came to a small temple. Although he heard a small voice inside the temple, no one answered him. He then pushed the door. In the middle of the temple, a bald old female monk was sitting in front of a low table, with an open prayer book on the table. When the mat weaver walked in, it seemed like the old monk didn't and #39 T listen, because she didn't and #39 T turn back. He waited a moment, coughed loudly, looking uncomfortable. I and number 39 am sorry to bother you. I went out into the street and encountered a thunderstorm. It was so dark that I lost my way. Please allow me to sit here and wait for the rain to stop. The old monk nodded and seemed satisfied. The worker took off his sandals and the bag in his hand and sat on a corner of the mat. The atmosphere was so quiet that he still could N and #39 T relieve the tension weighing heavily in his heart. He felt something strange and scary was stalking him. The monk muttered and chanted. The young man looked around as if he wanted to talk to dispel the anxiety that reigned in his heart. But the monk was still engrossed in the scriptures. So, sitting for a while, he took a pipe, filled it with tobacco, and smoked. And quot, anyway, having something to do would be less sad, and quot. He thought, then without paying attention, he let a bunch of cigarette butts fall onto the mat. The monk seemed angry, raised his head. Sorry, ma and number 39 the mat weaver apologized, raising his hand to throw away all the cigarette butts. I accidentally dirty the mat. Because the storm was so loud, I didn't and #39 T pay attention. Please Don and number 39 T be afraid, I won and number 39 T dirty the mat again. He sat still without moving, carefully taking a breath from the pipe every now and then. He smoked all the cigarettes in the pipe without dropping a single ash, and the sky was still dark. He then looked around, then looked at the mat. He saw that it was frayed in one place. And quot, since I and number 39 am here, I and number 39 LL fix the mat for this monk. That way I can at least show my gratitude. And quot. He thought. He opened his bag and took out a handful of thread, straightening it. Right then, the monk stopped reciting the sutras and looked at him with fierce eyes. It and number 39 nothing, please continue chanting, he said respectfully. I Don and number 39 T like sitting idle, and while waiting for the storm to end I want to repair this mat. The monk looked at him again with fierce eyes, but said nothing but continued to chant softly. The The weaver continued his work. He picked up a few tasseled mats. Suddenly the whole temple shook and the monk cried out in pain, "Oh, it and number 39's so terrible. Don and number 39 be so scared." The young man reassured. "Because of the storm. This storm seems so fierce and terrible. But please Don and number 39 be afraid, there and number 39's nothing to worry about. This temple is more than capable of enduring a storm as big as this. Don and number 39 be afraid." When the monk calmed down, the weaver looked at the torn mat in his hand. Suddenly he panicked, and remembered the rumors in the city. In his hand was a handful of long grey fur with white spots. "And quat, I Don and number 39 like this at all. And quat," he said to himself, "this is mink fur. Why is mink fur lying on this mat?" He quickly took out a long leather sewing needle from his bag. He used momentum and stabbed it hard through the mat. The needle pierced the mat and he heard a loud scream. Up in the air, the temple and the monk disappeared, and the worker found himself sitting on the edge of a field, his legs bare and a needle in his hand. The sun shines, the sky is cloudless. Surprised, the worker looked around. Right where the temple was, he only saw a pool of blood, from which there was a long trail of blood. Following the trail of blood, he came to a very deep cave. In front of the cave entrance, a large ferret was lying dead. "So the devil created these illusions," the worker said to himself. "What people say is not a rumor. It happened exactly as they said, otherwise we would have been in danger." Since that day, the suburbs of the city have been peaceful again. People can go to work without fear. In the past, they were forced to stay at home, but now they go out more and more. Therefore, there is no city where the population just stays indoors is less than the residents in our city. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.